So hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Secrets of the Viz. Hopefully everyone had a great break. We didn't see any episodes for the past weeks after the Christmas special, so this is kickstarting the series again. Today we have a very special guest. Everyone should know who you are, Chris Westlake, last year's Iron Viz champion. Now before we get started, by the time we're recording this, tonight is actually the announcement for this year's finalists. So I'm gonna put you in the spot and ask you to list down your top three, and then we'll see next week when this episode goes live whether your predictions are right.
That is rough. Top three. I reckon Emily DePadra has been coming for years, and she's done another killer viz. I reckon at least top 10 for the fourth year in a row, which is awesome. Rob Taylor got to shout out another JLL person. His viz on The Rock was amazing. Just next level analysis going on in there. Really enjoyed that one. And I'm honestly torn on a third one between yours, because I loved that. It just kept me engaged the whole way through, and I'm not into gaming. So like I saw it and I was like, probably not going to reach the bottom of this, to be honest. But the way that you designed it really worked. The other one would be Ryan Suarez, who did a viz on Shark Tank, and he had a Sankey going through it that kind of funneled out all of the unsuccessful pitches, which was a really nice kind of design effect going into the background. But it could be anyone. There were so many amazing vizzes this year.
But I was gonna say, if you didn't list down Ryan's viz, then you are cheat. Yeah, because that viz is really, like, even for me when I was browsing through, that one really caught my eye. And I never thought that you could use a Sankey diagram like this. Like, it's so
it's
genius.
Really clever.
Yeah. So, are you excited to be judging this year?
I am really looking forward to it. It's going to be really nice to go back with a little bit less pressure and watch other people stress about the final instead.
So what advice would you give the top three that will be announced tonight?
Main thing is enjoy it. There's a lot to take in kind of over the next few months leading up to the final, and obviously once you get to PC as well. It goes by so fast, and you're never going to be in that situation again. It is such an amazing experience. Just take a breath and enjoy it every once in a while, but also put in a lot of prep. We got the data a month before the final, and in that time I did nothing else with my free time. I was finishing work and going straight into Iron Viz prep until like 1-2 o'clock in the morning every single day.
Whew, that's rough.
It's a lot, but it pays off.
It did. I mean, you're the champion. Cool. So I was looking at your blog and your viz on the year in review, which is what we are here to talk about today. You've been really busy last year. You had like 30 vizzes, which is probably like 2 a month. You had 14 blogs. You have 25 presentations. You moved house. You had 5 family holidays. That's a lot to cover in 1 year.
Yeah, it was a busy year. I'm really like reaching the end of it. I was feeling slightly burnt out, but knew that I wanted to do one more viz to kind of seal the year, look back, and just really enjoy what I'd achieved.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to hear, but I saw that running up to Iron Viz, you lost your grandmother and you didn't have time to kind of process that. Have you had time to sit down since?
I think so. Yeah, it's always a tough one, losing a loved one. She passed away at the beginning of April. So the funeral was on a Monday, and then I flew out to San Diego the next Friday. So yeah, definitely took some time a little bit later to process that.
I think like grandparents hold a very special place in all our hearts because they are kind of like a cornerstone of every family gathering and stuff like that. Even for me, my extended family, we used to have these big gatherings every Christmas or Chinese New Year. But ever since my grandmother passed away a couple of years back, we never really had that big family gatherings. And it's just part of life, I guess.
Yeah, completely.
So one of your focus I saw in 2025 is to exercise 5 days a week. It's not hard, just going for a walk and stuff like that. I find that I listen to podcasts when I drop off my kids at school and I take a walk back home. Yeah, it's a nice, peaceful time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I found during last year especially was because I work from home. I don't go outside. I was just not leaving the house. So having that kind of goal, and it's not every day go for a walk. I can have days where I don't do it, and that's okay. But definitely getting outside more. It's been tough the last week because the weather's been pretty rubbish. And it's always easier to go out when it's nice and a bit sunny. But
So my team sits in Dublin. They've been telling me how crappy the weather is for the past couple of weeks. So yeah, I understand. The other thing I saw in your blog, you were saying that you want to try your hands at manual visualization.
I've got essentially a bullet journal, just a pad with squares on each page. What I've done is set up a kind of grid, almost like a matrix, or it'll basically turn into a heat map. So every day that I do the goal, I color in the square, and then over time you'll start to see this thing fill up, and you'll see like these trends. So it's got 52 rows, 7 columns.
I think that's interesting because last year there was this trend of people dabbling into the physical realm of data visualization. So I think this project of yours might be quite interesting. I'm excited to see what comes out of it.
It's always quite a fun thing to do because I feel like we kind of get a bit tied with doing stuff in Tableau or Figma, which is going to be limited compared to what you can do with just a pen and paper. So it's quite nice to take it very low tech in that regard and just do some coloring every once in a while.
Cool. So I've realized your vizzes recently have been really complex, and this is kind of on a roll from your Iron Viz entry because you have the Borrow 7 where you have the polygon mapping and you have the 150 viz with the tartan, and your year in review with the curvy timeline. It's a lot of trigonometry that goes behind it. I know you have written a super long blog post about how you actually went with all the trigonometry, but maybe just walk us through the ideation stage of you arriving at why you wanted to do an arc 8-figure looking curvy line. I lost my words.
No, that's fine. I've struggled to know kind of what to call it. It's kind of a curvy timeline, but it's more than that. It kind of snakes around. And the reason for that is I felt like my year had a lot of ups, but it also had some downs. It wasn't just a straight upward trend the whole year. So I kind of wanted to get that flow across, I guess. This is something that I've wanted to do for quite a while, taking inspiration from Sam Parsons' viz that got him into an Iron Viz final a while ago, The Rivers of Time. He had that kind of timeline of Marvel films going through the middle of the viz, and it kind of snaked around. And I've wanted for a while to do something like that, and this felt like the perfect opportunity. I haven't looked at it since doing this, so I don't know like how similar the curves actually are. But yeah, I kind of think back to that viz a lot.
Yeah, that viz is really interesting. And that was during a time where we didn't have Tristan's tools. So everyone had to do their own data densification, trigonometry, and map layers and stuff like that. And it's amazing.
Completely.
Like even for yours, this entire piece is just littered with map layers and different trigonometry. It's a lot of work. How long did you actually spend to run through all the calculations? Because I figured that you probably have to do a lot of trial and error just to get things to be placed in the right manner that you wanted.
Yeah, totally. So I sketched out the overall shape in Figma so that I knew kind of where I wanted each month curve to go. And then it was just a case of drawing that first like 90-degree block for January, then kind of copying the code for that and changing the signs in the trigonometry to just get it to rotate on that y-axis. And then do the same thing for March, same thing for April. And because I already had a sketch, I knew which way I wanted each month to go. So it definitely made it a lot easier.
So if you look back, what was the most challenging part of getting the calculations right? Was it the curves? Was it the points or the lines?
I think it was the curves. Getting the curves to go the right way and all line up next to each other how I wanted. I've seen people saying that like once you understand like fully how to do one thing with circles, with radials in Tableau, you can do anything at all. But it is kind of slightly mind-bending for how to do this. Because if you imagine each of those sections fills in a full circle, so you almost feel like for that March one, you're wanting to move up the y-axis one, but you're actually not. You're just showing a different part of the circle on the same level of the y-axis. So it's quite hard to visualize, and you do get into a bit of a twist with it. So yeah, that was kind of conceptually the hardest part.
Yeah, I mean, this is amazing. I'm gonna try to decipher what you've done here and try to see if I can create a timeline of my own, because I love this so much. Yeah. Any theories about what's coming up next from you?
On the blog, I'm not sure. Kind of still trying to work out what that's actually going to look like. I need to get some ideas for more vizzes. And obviously that takes time, as I'm sure you know. At the end of last year, launched a thing on my website for one-on-one viz help sessions. And I'm really looking to push that a bit more, build that offering. The idea behind that is for people who are maybe just starting out with Tableau, who can get themselves to 80-90% of the way through a Tableau project, but they just want a bit of a helping hand to get them over the mark, to really take their work to the next level, to make it really polished. And those sessions, I sit down with people one-on-one and kind of review their work and maybe offer some suggestions, or if they're struggling with a specific calc, just kind of unblock them from that. So definitely do check that out if that's something that you'd be interested in.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, this is an opportunity not to be missed, because you're getting tips and tricks from the IVIS champion himself. So don't miss that out, people. You can find the link in the YouTube description as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
So thank you, Chris, for spending time with us today to share about your viz, and really excited to see what you come up with this year. Hopefully we'll see that physical visualization of what you've done in 2025. So keep it up. Don't miss any of the milestones. We'll be rooting for you. And we'll see everyone in the next episode. Thank you.
Brilliant.
All right.
Thanks, Lewis.
Thanks, buddy.